Hold up the ceremony. Cheryl's got to take the picture.
Welcome everybody to Terry and Paul's wedding, or what we should all probably call finally, right? I mean, come on. Is it just you two today? Anybody else? We're good? We're good? Okay, good. We're here to celebrate today. We're here to celebrate in a place where Paul and Terry actually got engaged, right down there. So it's kind of a special place for them. We're here to celebrate Paul, we're here to celebrate Terry, and celebrate this great marriage that has been a nearly 14-year run before we got here. So, Terry, a marriage, as we know, is something not to jump into, and you two have taken your sweet time to prove that fact. Yes, this is true. But I think we can all agree that this nearly 14-year stretch has given you all the answers that you need to know, and then some, and probably a lot more than that. Anyone who has spent a lot of time with you guys knows that it just works between the two of you. And you can spend just a few hours with these guys, I'm sure you can all agree, and see that they still love each other after all this time. But most importantly, they still like each other, which is a huge thing. Do I hear that? Yes? Yeah. Yes? Everyone's like, oh, yeah. I know. Amen. Amen. I get over here. Great. So it is my great pleasure and privilege to be able to officiate something as wonderful as two people standing up in front of their family and friends to legally celebrate their commitment and love, to be recognized not only by us today and the state of New York, but now I have to say also the federal government. Yeah! You guys got great timing. I'll tell you that much. It is said that love organizes our large and sometimes unpredictable world. It is that which enshrines and ennobles our human experience. It is the basis for the peace of the family and peace of the people. The greatest gift bestowed upon humans is the gift of love freely given between two persons. And there is definitely a lot of love for you guys here today, as you can see. I personally met Terry back in college in 1997, sorry to age us. And I have been able to spend a lot of time with Paul too over the years. And of course, when they first started dating, as any friend would do, you want to make sure that the new boyfriend is right for Terry. And Paul, I have to say, after all these years, I've deliberated, and I'm not really sure. Just kidding. I couldn't imagine anyone better for Terry, honestly. And Terry, I know that Paul is the same for you. And in fact, he said in a conversation he wouldn't remember with me that even through all of it, he would never trade you. Those were his exact words. So I think that's pretty sweet. I asked some family and friend of yours as well for words to describe you two and your relationship, and this is what I got from them. But don't worry, I took out the bad ones, I promise. I did. These are some good words. The first one we have is frolicking. If you know Terry and Paul, you know that's true. Energetic, sexual hotness. I read them, I don't write them. That's it. One was action, adventure, mischief, and wonder, which I think is pretty perfect. Devoted to each other's happiness. Perfect sense. Completeness. Enticing. They are true friends. Being around them always makes me happy. Exhilarating. Modern love. Empowering and loving. They are both so intelligent, and I love that about them. Paul and Terry's love for each other is held together by the love of many friends and family members that make their union so unique and special. And the last two, completely and uniquely more perfect for each other than any couple I've ever met. Last one, a merger of diverse characteristics, which together creates a terrific union. So as you can see, I think we all agree that this is an absolute perfect match, yeah? Do I get another amen? Amen. I didn't know we were going to church today. Amen. So we have to talk about this for a minute, for those that don't know. Today we witnessed the union of a relationship that started nearly 14 years ago with a preacher, some yelling, some Spanish, and a handshake. I asked these guys to tell me how they met, and this is the story I got from them. You ready? Terry says, the first time I saw Paul, he was engaged in a screaming match with a preacher. Basically, she was telling the crowd assembled about the evils of self-pleasure, and Paul was not having it. He started preaching right back at the preacher, asking everyone in the crowd to raise their hands if they engaged in this act. This sounds like Paul. I thought he was so fearless, and I was determined to find that boy. As fate would have it, I got the chance. I was taking Spanish, and he worked in the language computer lab. I started spending more time in that lab studying, Terry says. I definitely got an A that semester. I tried to work up my courage to ask him out. It might have been a bit stalkerish. Many times I would stay late until everyone else left, sneaking eye contact with him. Finally, one day I found the guts to ask him out, using the corniest line ever. I reached my hand out and said, "My name is Terry Mickelson. Would you like to go on a date?" You're right, Terry, that's very corny. He still makes fun of me today for that. That date happened, and as they say, the rest is history. Paul's story is very similar. He says, I didn't even know Terry was watching me as I manically protested the street preacher. I did notice him every day practicing Spanish in his shimmery basketball shorts in the language lab where I worked. So Terry was going, not knowing Paul was looking, and Paul was looking at him. They didn't even know each other was looking at each other. Some days I would even come in dressed up and try to get his attention. The one night he was hanging out till after everyone was gone. And if cell phones existed then, we are old, aren't we? I would have been texting all my friends, OMG, you know that cute guy I've been stalking in the language lab? ... Not knowing he was doing the exact same thing. A few minutes later, he reached out to awkwardly shake my hand and ask me out. I accepted. It's a pretty beautiful story, actually. They've come a long way since the Spanish lab, and many factors have joined them together, adding to both of their lives to create something greater than that which existed before. And now, today, Paul and Terry become a set that is natural, sometimes complex, sometimes very complex, but always real. At this time, I wanted to ask the parents for their blessing on this marriage. So I just want to ask to Denise, Tony, and Maria, do you offer your blessing for this marriage, promising to support them, understand them, and encourage them in their journey in the years ahead? If you agree, please say, we do. And I want to ask everybody else here, family, friends alike, do you offer your blessing for this marriage? Not yet, but okay. Amen. We got a lot. It's hot. All right, it's hot. Get on with it. Enough with the love. Just to say I do. Do you offer your blessing for this marriage, promising to support them, understand them, and encourage them in their journey in the years ahead? If you agree, please say, we do.
We do.
A little louder.
We do.
Paul's brother Mike is now going to read an excerpt from Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman.
It's funny. The day when I arose at dawn from the bed of perfect health, refreshed, singing, inhaling the ripe sweet breath of autumn, when I saw the full moon in the west grow pale and disappear in the morning light, and when I wandered alone over the beach and undressing bathed, laughing with the cool waters and saw the sun rise, and when I thought how my dear friend, my lover, was on his way coming, oh then I was happy. Oh then each breath tasted sweeter, and all that day my food nourished me more, and the beautiful day passed well. And the next came with equal joy. And with the next at evening came my friend. And that night, while all was still, I heard the waters roll slowly, continually up the shores. I heard the hissing rustle of the liquid and sand, as directed to me, whispering to congratulate me. For the one I love most lay sleeping by me under the same cover in the cool night. In the stillness in the autumn moonbeams, his face was inclined toward me, and his arm lay lightly over my breast, and that night I was happy.
So the power of the wedding vows is merely a reflection of reality that already exists in the hearts and minds of these two people. A declaration of their love, more so. There's nothing I can say today to you or nothing you can say to each other that will change what you already know. But these words you exchange today seal the commitment you already have for one another. I'd like to now ask Terry's brother, Caleb, to read a passage called Union by Robert Fulghum.
You have known each other from the first glance of acquaintance to this point of commitment. At some point you decided to marry. From that moment of yes to this moment of yes, indeed, you have been making commitments in an informal way. All of those conversations that were held in a car, or over a meal, or during long walks, all those conversations that began with, when we're married, and continued with, I will, and you will, and we will. All those late night talks that included someday and somehow, and maybe, and all those promises that are unspoken matters of the heart. All those common things and more are the real process of a wedding. The symbolic vows that you are about to make are a way of saying to one another, you know all those things that we promised and hoped and dreamed? Well, I meant it all, every word. Look at one another and remember this moment in time. Before this moment, you have been many things to one another: acquaintance, friend, companion, lover, dancing partner, even teacher, for you have learned much from one another these past few years. Shortly you shall say a few words that will take you across the threshold of life, and things between you will never quite be the same. For after today, you shall say to the world, this is my husband.
Aww.
Yes. So I asked Paul and Terry to write something for each other to share today, and this is what they're going to do. So Paul will read first.
When I first set eyes on you, I was attracted to you like a fish to a lure by your sparkly shimmer shorts and bright blue eyes. Within days of you reaching out to shake my hand and introduce yourself, we had already moved into my 15 by 9 foot apartment where we had to roll up the bed to open the oven. By the time we were living together in a car as we explored the wonders of North America, from the Rockies to the Great Corn Palace of South Dakota, we had the time of our lives. At that point, I already knew I found the person I had been searching for my whole life. A best friend that, despite a world of difference in preferences and desires, always makes me feel wanted, safe, and a part of something larger and more important. Someone who I can share myself with and never hold back on for fear of being judged. Someone who snuggles me and keeps me warm on a cold winter night but doesn't ever make me feel smothered. Someone who will hear me out even when I know you don't agree. Someone who's always ready for adventure and craves it as much as I do while still being grounded enough to be responsible when needed. Thank you for making me believe that dreams really can come true. I love you.
Aww.
And now Terry, go ahead.
I've never been satisfied with the ordinary. From the moment I laid eyes on you, I knew you were far from ordinary. From your crazy emotional outbursts to your intense concentration on projects, you always give everything. I'm not sure you know what holding back means, and I love that. I remember the first time I met your family. I thought for sure that a fight was about to start. The screaming and noise was so overwhelming. But I slowly learned that what I was hearing was unrestrained passion, and it drew me like a moth to flame. You're never afraid to be exactly who you are, with friends and family and perfect strangers alike. I love how you step on a dance floor and instantly demand attention. You're the best dancer I know. Whether floating down a river in Germany at snail's pace or scrambling down cliffs at Zor Valley, it's always a fun adventure, and I can't wait to see where we'll go next. You constantly manage to find ways to surprise me. Some say marriage is the end of the adventure, that now it's time to settle down and slow down. But I know that with you, the adventure is only beginning. We have the best years of our life still ahead of us.
So we will move on to the official I do's. Best part, right? Do you, Paul? You can. We didn't work that part out. Do you, Paul, accept Terry as your husband, joining with him today in marriage, offering your friendship and loving care, honoring his growth and freedom as well as your own, cherishing and respecting him, loving him, embracing him in times of adversity, times of joy, in sickness and in health? If so, answer now. I do.
I do.
Repeat after me. Can you hear? We'll do the other part. Repeat after me, Paul. I give you this ring. That's why I was making you wait. See, you're trying to push me. As a symbol of my unconditional love. With all that I am. And all that I have. From this day forward as your husband. Do you, Terry, accept Paul as your husband, joining with him today in marriage, offering your friendship and loving care, honoring his growth and freedom as well as your own, cherishing and respecting him, loving and embracing him in times of adversity, times of joy, in sickness and in health? If so, answer now, I do.
I do.
Repeat after me. I give you this ring.
I give you this ring.
As a symbol of my unconditional love.
As a symbol of my unconditional love.
With all that I am.
With all that I am.
And all that I have. From this day forward as your husband.
From this day forward as your husband.
I know that I speak for everyone here that we could not be happier for the two of you. We all wish you many, many, many more years together that are even better than the ones you have shared. Full of more action, adventure, mischief, and wonder. Despite all changes of fortune and time, may that which remains abundant in your hearts give you strength for all that lies ahead together. Terry and Paul, in the presence of your family and friends who have joined you to share this moment of joy, you have declared your deep love and affection for each other. You have stated your wish to continue this journey together, always open to a deeper, richer friendship and partnership. You have formed your own union based on respect, honor, and love. Therefore, it is my proud responsibility to officially acknowledge your union with the power invested in me by the state of New York. I now pronounce you husband and husband. You may now kiss the groom. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great privilege to present to you for the very first time Mr. and Mr. Paul Zisco and Terry Nicholson. Good night. Don't let the applause stop. This has been 13 years. Come on, y'all. They will be heading over by that bridge in a little bit if you guys want to meet them, and the reception's over at 6. It starts at 6.
Good job, Ryan. Good job, Brian. Oh, thanks.
Oh, it's warm. It wasn't even that long, like 15 minutes.
It's perfect.
It's good, right?
Yes.
About 25.
Perfect amount of